Hey everybody, it's Dusty White. Sorry for the background noise. Oh yeah, Easy Pair Lessons, the podcast. I'm driving. I just finished up volunteering for the veterans at the rowing club, so hence I'm driving. Oh, look at me! I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I know.
Just I'm just letting you know that and you're like, Mars, what's with the noise? Mandy's here. Hey, how do you know if somebody's lying to you in a reading? Yay! Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about, right? So that's what we're doing today. And if you have any questions, um, so set the table. I don't want to give it away, Sharon. You said somebody asked a question. Uh-huh.
Yeah, in group Monday, Allie asked, "How do you?" She listened to the lesson where you're talking about
Hi,
people
Allie.
lying. Hi, Allie, and
Hi,
she asked, "How do you know? Is it in the cards? Is it in the person?" She wanted to know how you know when a client is lying to you.
That's a great question. That's an important one. So I hope everybody will listen because it's super important. And listen to the end because I don't want you to, think, oh my God, everybody's lying to me. All right. So I'm going to start out. We had a little pre-conversation on how we were going to address this, but you guys who are listening didn't hear that. So this will all work out. It's just going to seem a little strange at first. So I'm just going to jump right in and say I've had a lot of experience at this because I started out as a kid. Around 11 was when I started reading the tarot very poorly and reading playing cards, cartomancy, and read a lot of books. And, we didn't have podcasts back in my day. Um, and so uh, I made some mistakes, made a lot of mistakes. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, got in front of me. And I learned the hard way. And then I got a break at one point. I'd been reading for a long time and practicing. And after a couple of decades, I actually answered an ad in the newspaper for telephone psychics. It turns out it was either the first or one of the first two companies to do um, psychic readings over the phone. And how that came about was this was during the 900 number craze, like way back at the beginning of it. And sex calls were huge. They were, not to tell stories out of school, but talking to some of the owners of these places in hindsight, because they were saying they were making $7 for every $1 advertised. So if they'd advertise in a magazine, call 1-900-GET-GIRL. Don't call that number. Like $10,000 a minute. Just an example, or whatever. Um, I think that's an actual number. Sorry, everybody, but they'd make $7 for every dollar they advertised, and that was just crazy. And so they thought, well, somebody had the idea. Well, let's try it out with psychics, and so like $4 a minute, and they were making money hand over fist. Now I didn't know this at the time, obviously, none of us did. So they were running warehouses of psychics and warehouses of call girls. Sorry for the pun. Um, and so the point is that I've done reading for people in person. I've done readings by email, by Skype, blah, blah, blah. And of course, thousands and thousands of people that I've read for over the phone all over the country and later on all over the world. So there, the propensity for, or possibility of a client lying to you, in my humble opinion, which is based on decades of experience and decades of teaching, is directly tied to how they get a reading. So Mandy, for example, she will have people come up to her all the time and get readings in person. And it's private in the sense, people walking by don't actually hear, but there's a sense of being a little bit in public. It's not like, they're in the back of a dark, shop where no one can see them. And certainly that's much different than readings by phone, or video Skype, or phone Skype, or email, or writing if anybody uses pen and paper other than me anymore. So first thing I'm going to say is I will make a bet that I have a lot more people lie to me, well, in my career, because I spent so much time on the phones than Mandy would have, who spent time on the phones. But I'd say at this point, probably more calendar years reading in person. Let me ask you, Mandy, have you tipped the scale? Are you, I don't want to lead the witness. Would you say you've crossed over to where you've spent more calendar years reading in person than you have
Oh
over the phone?
yeah, way
Okay,
more.
okay.
You
So,
know, plus the fact that I've been doing these big events where
oh
I'm
God, yeah.
I'm getting through so many people in one event, like face to face as well. You know, it's
Right. So not just calendar, but actually the amount of readings
yeah,
is really starting. But see, you cut your teeth, or you went through, let's say, boot camp on
yeah,
the phones.
yeah.
And for anybody starting out, reading over the phones is not super easy, and it's not impossible. But I'm telling you, it's a skill. If you get a chance to do it early on in your career, like if you can find a company that actually pays you, good luck with that. And here's this even harder, has enough clients to keep you busy.
Mm.
So if they're ethical and they pay you, and that's another thing, you want to be ethical, you want to be ethical. But if you get a chance to spend time reading for hundreds or thousands of people on the phone, do it. Do it, do it, do it. Love it, like it, hate it, doesn't matter. Just do it. It's a
I
rare
I
opportunity.
wouldn't say I did it for hundreds of thousands on the phone.
Oh no, 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 no. That's like
Yeah,
I
but
think I capped out tens of thousands. I did, yeah. And some people have read for many, many more people than I have, because when you're reading over the phone on a regular basis, now it's a lot slower these days. But back when I was doing it, you could not, I mean, the warehouses or giant offices of minimum 100, 200, 300 cubicles, all packed
wow,
with psychics, and the phones would not stop. I smoked back then, so I'd, jump up for a cigarette. I'd get in arguments with the manager. Sit down. Like, I'm going out for a cigarette, because they're not psychic. Their job is, so they don't know what it's like, take on all everybody's gook and just like one after the other. Like, well, I need a break. Um,
wow.
so yeah, first off, laying it out, you're more likely to have people lie to you if there's that kind of anonymity. Now, pardon my French, everybody. So, hide the children. But there's something called internet balls, where, see, okay, now we're past that vulgarity. But that's a term that has been, pulled up over the years, where a lot of people are John Wayne, or, pick your favorite, you know, Chuck Norris, kind of tough guy, movie star. Um, More bravado than anything else is what I'm saying. People get really ballsy online, and they'll say, that's why so many trolls. Same thing with lying. People don't feel the need to be as honest with their psychics, and you'll get a lot of, either online or on the phone. You get a lot of things like, you're the psychic. You should know why I'm calling,
Mm.
and I'm paying by the minute, because that's generally how they gauge. It's not that all calls are by the minute, obviously, but well, maybe it's not obvious, but it's like a taxi, the meter runs. That's just the way that a lot of companies work. So their clients are their customers are very price conscious.
Mm.
So what you'll have is sometimes people will flat out lie. Sometimes will tell the truth from their side, and then how much that's colored depends on that person. And then sometimes people will just tell you what they want you to know. They'll expect you to know a lot more. Again, you're the psychic, you should know. Um, Also, remember that the public is not trained. We don't live in Harry Potter world where oh, you're magical. Oh, you're magical. It's like half to not half. I'd say most of the world doesn't even believe in what we do, because if they did, we wouldn't be able to stop. You know, people banging on our door all the time. Hey, give me a reading. So people haven't been trained, and they're skeptical, and they don't want to be fooled, and they don't want to be scammed. So a lot of people just won't give us information. And sometimes they'll play stump the psychic, lie to the psychic to see, and and this makes them feel good about themselves. So keep in mind, this is just something you're going to have to deal with if you read for people. And don't don't freak out, but it will happen more and more as the anonymity factor increases. I'm going to stop for a moment. Does that make sense to you
Yeah,
guys?
I found the attitude of kind of like, you're the psychic, you tell me, one of the hardest things for me to get past. Like, I had to really kind of like start to believe that that is not the way to do, or to like give a reading. It took quite a bit to convince me that I'm not expected to kind of guess what the question is. That is,
Right. That leads us into the blind reading
yeah,
conundrum, right?
yeah. I really struggled with that. I thought I did have to be the psychic that kind of like, just knew everything, including what the question was. And once I got over that, oh my God, it was like being let out of jail.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and to make it worse, I don't have anything against mentalists. They're fun. It's like going to see a prestidigitator or whatever, street magician or
Yeah.
professional magician. I don't like to use the word magician because, well, magicians, wizards, they like to own that word. And then there's prestidigitators. I need look. I
It's
never
easier to
bothered learning the
say.
word. I gotta learn the word. I could probably spell it if I had to. There's a J and a Q in it, and whatever, and it begins with M. But, says Grandpa. But the thing is, mentalists and again, magicians and street magicians, and con artists and hustlers. Their job, and God bless them, is to bullshit people. Um,
Yeah.
and so the public gets reinforced with, I'm getting an R, an R. Is there a Robert, Randy, Rudolph? My name's O'Rady. Close enough. Yeah, I've got a message for you from your grandmother, sister, brother. My uncle died in Vietnam. That's the guy.
Jeez.
I don't want to like just blatantly make fun of them, but this is the problem. Is this the world we live in? And so what'll happen is people see that and they go, "Oh, okay, well, you're supposed to do that, right?" Like, fuck you.
I
Used to
know.
say that to my clients. Like, no, we got rules around here. No blind readings. And
Yeah. Yeah.
and I really want my students and anybody listening to, what? Be a little ornery. It's okay to be a little bit of a jerk, because the most valuable thing you have, as a matter of fact, I would say one of the only things, if not the only thing we ever truly own, is our integrity. And I've been up and I've been down, and I found out that integrity is the only thing that I can always take with me. So please guard your integrity. And if someone says, tell me anything, I'm not saying don't do a blind reading, but realize that you're not going to be really doing them a great service, because it's
Mm,
not like the cards ever say, oh no, you need to know about this. You were asking about your relationship, but you need to know that there's a message from your dead grandmother. It's like, well, I don't even have a grandmother. Well, technically, I guess everybody would have to have a grandmother. But, wait, I'm sorry. She's not dead.
I,
So there,
I
I don't
do
have a
think
grandmother.
I do think there's a difference between a blind reading and a person who actually really is just curious and doesn't actually know what they want the reading to be about. And so, therefore, if you kind of ask the universe what their reading should be about by whatever method you choose, it
Now, see, that's
yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up. This is actually something we cover in the black book. If you have the black
Yes.
book, open it up. And if you don't, well, get the damn book. It's $20. Maybe less on Amazon. I'll buy you, steal a copy, read it online. Kindle, $10. Um, Now, we call that, help me out with this.
Pre-spread.
I was going to say, well, yeah, it's a pre-spread. I wanted to say pre-spread, pre-reading. So the pre-spread work is anything you do before the cards come out. Thank you, Mandy. I haven't had to actually use the term for a while. But a pre-spread, well, let let Mandy explain. This is her variant of a pre-spread. So walk us through. Now we'll definitely get to lying, but let's take us through your example of a pre-spread. People have heard me enough.
Okay, so somebody will come to me and they go, I don't know what I want the reading on. So I'll say, if you really don't know, okay, I've got a little kind of technique where we will kind of like let the universe decide which area of your life I'm going to focus the reading on. Okay, because I'm not prepared to just throw out random cards and try and guess what it's saying.
Yeah, we don't play the guessing game here.
No. So I mean, I won't go through the whole procedure again, but I do this little thing with these little wooden moons that I had made, and each little wooden moon has got a different kind of area of life written on it. You know, it might say love life, it might say family or career or something like that. And I do this little kind of process where these moons go into a bag, and then we pull out a few of the moons, and then I do a card on a small selection of the moons that have been pulled out of the bag, and according to which card my intuition tells me which card kind of looks like it should be the card that the reading is about, if that makes any sense. So then I say to them, I actually say to them, I'm always in control of the reading. I'm going to say, right, the universe has decided that your reading should be about your career. So then I will go into an ordinary reading about their career. And I would still even say to them, you know, are you happy with the career you're in? Or do are you looking for a change? And so I'll just have some sort of like road to go down with the reading. But often when I get my little moons out, to be honest, that sounds rude, they will look at the little moons and they'll go, actually, I'll have my reading on family. They'll see it there, and suddenly they do know what they want their reading to be about.
Yeah, right. Sometimes people just need a nudge, and sometimes they know, but they're afraid to ask. So, good point. Now, this isn't quite lying, or no, it isn't lying at all. But sometimes people are afraid to ask, or they want you to tell them.
Yes.
And so sometimes all we need to do is nudge them, and they'll say, "Oh, no, I want to know this." So we need to remember to stay flexible. Now, for some of us, that's easier than others. That's a personality thing. So that's something we have to figure out for ourselves. But just to make sure that I'm doing what I promised, let's talk about lying. If we want to know for a fact when someone is lying to us, at the beginning of the spread, middle of the spread, end of the spread, any of these places, there's a little bit of a requirement, and that is it is highly dependent on sorry, I'm talking on our intuition. So I don't want to give anyone the impression that this is just easy and obvious and that it's going to work out perfectly every single time without effort. Because what happens is we set the false expectations. Just talking about lies real quick, I'm going to take a little conversational side bubble and say, there's a lot of crap out there. You have to be the seventh son of the seventh son, the seventh daughter, seventh daughter. That one was a long time, psychic thing. That's just, those are numbers. Doesn't mean anything. There's no guarantee on that. You got to be a Pisces or a Scorpio, otherwise you can't read cards. Hello, Mr. Crow. You either have psychic ability or you don't, or you have to come from a line of psychics, and therefore somehow it's trained in it's in your DNA. And none of that's true. I mean, if you come from a generation of readers, if they have been genuine and if they have passed down real skills, that's the best. That's absolutely the best. But for everybody else, well, yeah, there's books, there's videos, there's teachers, but it all comes down to lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of practice. Just
Yeah.
lots. All right. So that being said, that was my conversational side bubble. What was I talking about just a moment ago? Sorry.
How to know if they're lying through your intuition.
Right. Thank you. So it's not like, oh, we know that somebody's lying to us because we're psychic or something. It's everybody is more psychic when they're warmed up. So, and the tarot, using the tarot is like going to the gym, literally. The cards help facilitate, sharpen, train your psychic muscles. We're all God's little children. We're all psychic to some extent. It's like we all breathe. We all have the ability to connect with the divine, because that's all psychic ability really comes down to. Some of us have a higher metabolism than others. In the same way, some of us are just a little bit more naturally psychic, but we all can be trained and we all can do really, really well. And the person who's trained, no matter how much natural talent they have, will always be better than someone who is poorly trained or untrained, no matter how much innate ability they have. So, in that same way, for us to know that a client is lying, we have to be warmed up. So, if you are, quote, naturally psychic, or for like Mandy and Sharon, who've been doing this for a long time, you can put yourself in a meditative state. I'm not saying you actually have to meditate, but knowing how to meditate, knowing what it's like to enter that quasi trance that we do when we're reading, when we're shuffling, when we're reading over and over and over, we just kind of warm up. You can get to a point, you guys can already do it, I'm telling you, whether you've done it or not, because whether you have done it or not yet purposely, I know that you too can do it, and other people as well. You can shift your focus, awareness, relax your breath, do a couple of things, maybe stretch, I don't know. It's different for different people. But you can alter your awareness to get you in a more receptive state. That's if you don't happen to have your cards. If you happen to have your cards, then just, shuffle, relax, do a few exercises, limber up. The same thing as just limbering up before you go out rowing, for example, or exercising. Now you will be more receptive, which includes having a bullshit detector, knowing when someone is lying, because lying is like, or the act of lying is like dropping a large rock, like a boulder, in a swiftly running stream. All the water is flowing, it's flowing smoothly, we're all going downhill. What is it? We're walking, everybody's moving in the same direction. All of a sudden, here comes Mr. Rock, blam! So the water hits the rock, pushes other molecules away, pushes molecules up, it has to flow around the rock, creates quite a disturbance. That's exactly what it's like when you're just flowing, you're building a bond with your client, or you're already in a bond with your client, and blam, big fat lie. So it's not a matter of, oh, how do we tell? It's how do we put ourselves in the zone so that nature can do its job? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think is the difference between a lie, a big fat lie, as you just said, and someone who is just clearly deluded?
Good question.
Hold on to that question because I want to do something before I forget. This is
Okay.
part of promise. I made a promise by the name of this episode to teach something, and I want to just hit this real quick, but I want to go back to that. Now, everything I just said, if you are shuffling your cards, so let's say you're talking to your client, and again, I use the word client, and it's just the person you're reading for. I don't like the word querent or querent because nobody uses that. Save the astrological and tarot and metaphysical jargon for cocktail parties. Use normal people terms. You're not making yourself any less mysterious. You actually make people like you more because they think, wow, this is just natural to you. You don't have to hide behind these big fancy terms. Please. I'm not saying don't use terminology, but use it sparingly. You don't have to use the word client, but there's a number of reasons why I use that term. And I've talked about it in podcast lessons over and over and over. Right. So I'm going to say the first thing is you're talking to your client and you're reaching out with your senses. Matter of fact, we should probably talk about that at some other podcast, like the very beginning of a reading, reaching out, how to let's call it how to establish a bond with your clients, how to something like that. Does that sound like a good podcast episode?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Maybe people would like to learn that. Right. So I'm not gonna do a lesson on that right now, but whatever, that's in the bag. Maybe we'll do it next or soon or something. Right. So you're doing that. And what's the first rule of tarot reading?
If it works for you.
You are right. And what's the second rule?
Always be shuffling.
Right. And third rule is we don't talk about Fight Club. So, because these two come before. That's how important these rules are. They come before rule number one. You are shuffling. Hi, I'm Mandy. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. It's just a nervous habit. I mean, again, we talk about all that in other podcasts and lessons, so I'm not going to go into that. So now, if you're doing this right, that's the thing. If you're doing this right, everything will happen naturally. Let me put another side bubble here. The whole trick, I don't like the word trick because it sounds like we're scamming people, but the whole trick to psychic anything is learning to be able to differentiate between intuition and imagination. You're learning to read signals. You're learning to know, gawk, 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 hello, McFly. You're learning to hear. With the Back to the Future, I know it's like Grandpa's 1984 movie. What the hell, man? We're learning to tell when we're getting messages or impulses and instinctual, intuitive. Wait, I'm getting off topic. Sorry. So you're shuffling, and the end result is literally that instead of everything going smoothly, you're going to feel like your cards are fighting you. Now, that's just a term I like to use because that's what it feels like. Do you guys have a better term or a different term, or do you like that term? Does it make sense? Help me out with this, please.
So you mean the cards are fighting you while you're shuffling?
Right. It's like it's literally I get frustrated. Not so much recently, but but again, I haven't had people lie to me in time, which is good. But when you're shuffling, all the cards will stop flowing to, like, no matter what you do, instead of flowing together, because you've been shuffling, you've shuffled tens of thousands of times. I mean, every shuffle, and all of a sudden it's like stupid cards won't fit together.
No, I do get that. I've never kind of associated that with the person being a liar. I'm gonna
Okay.
That's actually my
Be
thing.
careful. Be careful about what you just said, associating that person with being a liar. I would say associating that with something's not right.
Yeah.
Something's not,
No,
you
I
know,
would agree with
you're
that. Yeah.
getting bias
No,
because, yes, that person may be a big fat liar, or, as you said earlier, they may just not be telling you the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
here's the deal.
Mhm.
That's
That starts to
actually
sound.
my ding, is when the cards just won't shuffle anymore.
Ah.
But
Okay.
when I get that ding and I lay them down and I get nothing, like I turn that card over and just a complete blank,
Mm.
then I know. Does that make
Mm.
sense?
Do tell, because this might help someone else. So when you
Okay.
turn the card over,
So I turn the card over, I get nothing. It's like it's like this block. It's like I can't make any kind of sense of the
oh
picture.
wait. In today's modern, well, for the last 20 years, but today's modern brighter weight cards from the yellow box,
Mhm.
there's a blank card. There's a card that's just white. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's an extra card. So it's like that card came up, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Just absolute nothing. No spark in my brain at all. So I'll turn over the next card if I still get nothing, and this is so frustrating because it's like I I should be able to look at the card and at least get something. Come on. Then
Yeah,
I'll pick them up and I'll shuffle them again. And if it happens again, I'll be like, I can't read for you. And I never realized that that might be because I'm not getting the full,
something's
the whole
amiss.
story. Right, right. But the cards not being able to shuffle is actually my ding. That's when I know I've gotten.
Again, if it works for you, that's important. I don't want to throw anybody up. And rule number one is so essential. Well, it is essential. Essential is not a so thing. Something else. Oh, okay. Another way you can tell if someone is lying to you. You've thrown out. I'm going to use the Celtic Cross as an example, single most popular spread in the world. But the point is not that it's the Celtic Cross; it's that it's a large spread. We're not talking about 2 or 3 card spreads where we're cheating, because if you're just doing 2 or 3 card spreads, you're cheating. Um, so we've like given a nice big spread because we're asking questions. If I ask a question, I would like a wealth of information, and I can choose how much to share, depending on how much time I have or whatever. But I don't want to. Oh, Mungo Smash, buy blue lottery ticket. It's like I would like some numbers if you don't mind. Maybe blue ticket with a basketball on it. Oh, I mean that's something, right? Blue ticket with red letters. Buy it on a Saturday. If we're dealing with 1, 2, 3 cards, we're not. Ooh, creepy stalker van with a padlock on it. Wow, that's totally
Scary.
Silence of the Lambs. I've seen creepy stalker vans with this windowless white van. It's got a deadbolt padlock on the back on the outside. Now, if the doors go, it's like start wobbling. I'm gonna go break into it. Right. So sorry, I'm out here watching them at the bank. I just watched them. Yeah. So if you've done a decent sized spread, you've got information. You're going through the cards, and you'll start to notice that what the cards are telling you doesn't quite match up to your client's version of the story. Now, this is I have to be very careful how I say this. It is possible to have random cards. It is possible not to do your job or to do your job poorly. And you know, so it's not like, oh, the cards are always right. If they're not, it can't be me, or it can't be the tarot. But let's say, your client's like, there's this girl at work. I think she likes me. Want to know what's going on. I'm not using any names, but I've had this several times. I think she likes me. Tell me what's the deal? It's like, does she like me? Are we going to get a relationship? What's going on? So I'm doing the spread. I'm about 15 minutes into this, and a lot of like, yes, we're a lot of the parts are validating and everything's verifying, and I'm feeling pretty good about myself. And then all of a sudden I start realizing this is sounding like this girl's a secretary who works technically for someone else, and this guy's married. And so a lot of the parts that, and then so I start asking my client questions very carefully, because if you suspect your client of lying, I'm going to tell you to be devious here. Don't put them on guard. Be honest with them, but get them to be honest with you. If you suspect something, don't just go in. Again, you guys have seen horror movies. Don't tell the killer, I'm going to call the cops. Oh, Jesus Christ! Tell them after you've called the cops. Don't pick up the phone and go, Mr. Serial Killer, I'm going to call the cops, because they're going to hang up the phone and then kill you. Same thing with your clients. They're not going to, your clients are going to kill you. Don't say, I don't think you're being honest with me. So, because then they're going to clam up, shut up. And so, yeah, be a little devious. If the cards are clearly saying, hey, this is what's going on, and your client's like, oh, no, this is where, because Mandy, let me put it in a slightly different way. A lot of times, I'm taking a guess here, so you can feel free to tell me that I'm wrong.
Okay.
But I'm going to guess that a lot of your clients, since you do so many, they'll give you a little base to work with. So you go, okay, I know what we're asking about. And then you're feeding them information, and they're like, wow, that's right. And then at some point, you'll have information that they haven't told you. And you're telling them, and they're like, yes, that's right. But the thing is that you're telling them things they know. This is part of any reading.
Yeah.
But they don't know that you know, and there's no way that you could know.
Yeah.
There's nothing nefarious about that. So when a client's lying to you, a lot of times it's that same thing. It's like, oh yeah, I know that you're married and you're trying to hook up with this girl who has no interest in you, and what you're really asking me to do is make it work somehow. Because I'm a psychic, I'm going to tell you like the magic button to get what you want. So that's no different where we're knowing something the client doesn't want to tell us.
Yeah. No, I find like if that happens and it looks a bit unusual, I would say something, I would hear myself saying something like, now this is a bit strange, but I'm just the messenger here, so I'm just going to tell you what I'm seeing, and maybe you can make some sense of it. That's how I would put it to them. And then it usually starts to come out.
Yeah, no, that's fair, because we don't want to play the game of, I'm going to give you a little information, then you're going to fill in the story, and then I can come back, because we don't do that. But if we're reading for a client and we suspect that there's something not quite right, we want to give them information and draw out, verify that you're married, aren't you? Oh, oops. Yeah, well, what does that have to do with it? It's not like I'm being judgmental, but that might have been nice to know from the beginning, rather than, oh, hey, here's this girl, because it's like, so that's kind of like, well, I didn't really lie. I just kind of shaved the truth because I want what I want, and I don't want you to judge me. And it's not important that I'm married, because my wife's not going to be there. I mean, I'm really lambasting men, but does this make sense?
Yeah. But I don't think I would actually say to someone, you're married, aren't you? I think I might say, I'd be probably a little bit less direct than that. And I might say, I'm kind of noticing there's another person here. I don't know, is one of you maybe already in a relationship or something? I'd be a little bit, like that about it.
Okay, now you bring up a good point. It's got nothing to do with lying to your, we never lie to our clients, but with your client lying. But this is a very important point, and I'm glad everybody's here listening, and I hope you are, because this is a conundrum This is a real problem that every individual reader has to face down. All of us have to address this. I'm not saying you did anything wrong, Mandy, but let me present you with a scenario. Your client is married. They're going through divorce.
Yeah.
The cards say, tell me about my relationship. Devil, lovers reversed, two of cups reversed, ten of swords, you know, and the outcome, nine of swords. Like, you know, now we know that there are readers out there like, no, happy good times. Tarot only says happy things. Oh, this couldn't possibly apply to you. You know, and we may not want to give our clients bad news or whatever, but if we're like, well, you know, it looks like you're in a relationship. It looks like there might be trouble down the road. Yeah, I'm getting a divorce. You're a lousy psychic. We knew that it was. Oh, I'm not okay. I'm not saying like this. I skipped a point. Let's say our intuition was saying, yeah, they're getting a divorce. They're going to have a battle over the custody of the kids. It's not going to go well for our client. In that particular case, if the cards are talking to you, and it is something we have to ask ourselves: how much do we want to tell our clients? Do we want to reach out and say, this is going to hurt? Bam, I just punched you in the nose with this information. You know, the thing is, we all have to have the chutzpah. Well, I'll just say the balls, you know, but we all have to have the balls to say, hey, this is what I see.
Yeah.
I'm either right or I'm not, but I've got the stones to say it.
Yeah.
Now, then it's a question of politeness, right? You know, so the problem is if we're trying, and I'm telling you, I've made this mistake over and over, not like tens of thousands of times, but you do it a couple of times and you'll never forget. So I want to let you guys know, it's not like, oh, I've never made this mistake. And that's why I don't want you to make this mistake. Is you think you're being polite, you think you're being kind, and you get an impression and you want to say something, but something in your brain stops you, or something where your client looks at you with the big puppy dog eyes or whatever and stops you. And if they say something before you say something, the rule of tarot reading or being psychic is you can't say, oh, yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hashtag me too. I mean, oh, sorry, that didn't need to be like insensitive, but I
Yeah.
mean, you can't say, yeah, me too. Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah.
Too late.
Hashtag I'm a psychic is like,
Yeah.
you know, because anybody could do that. I could say, well, God, I hate saying I, but I'm not going to point to somebody else. But in theory, if I were an asshole, if I were more of an asshole, I could sit there and go, yeah, I was about to say that. And then this thing's going to happen. And they're like, yeah, and then that's going to happen. Yeah. So I could sit there and play the yeah game and call myself, you know, but I think that's probably what mentalists do, really, is they just pick up on clues and they play the yeah game. Like, look at all the stuff I told you. But no, we have to have the stones to go, right or wrong, I'm saying this. And it's galling when that information is there and you want to say it because it's right there in the cards, but you're like, man, I don't want to be rude to this person.
No, you're
but
right.
If they say, so I want you to be careful about being too hesitant to just throw it out there.
Yeah.
And sorry to throw you under the bus, but that was a great example for all of the people. This is one of the most important lessons we can learn, because this isn't like how to be psychic. This is actually how to give a good reading, which, you know, obviously, you know, we've got enough lessons on how to do that, but I mean, on how to, you know, throw cards or whatever. But yeah, this is a huge one. We don't want our clients to lie to us, but also we have to make sure that we aren't too vague, because here's the problem. I know Mandy's a good reader, but if she's trying to be polite, Mandy, you may end up sounding just like someone who is unskilled and vague.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. No, that I think that's
How
a good
could we
point.
tell you apart? And then
Yeah,
there goes all your credibility.
yeah.
Not mine.
And the other thing is as well, because I'm doing face-to-face readings, they're not
Hmm.
stupid. They can see the cards. Some of the cards are quite obviously, you know, some of the some of the cards are quite obvious what they're saying.
Yeah, the lovers, the devil, the tower, some of these
Yeah,
cards just scream out. You don't have to read. It's
yeah.
like,
I
wow, this
mean,
guy's getting stabbed in the back.
I mean, you can get away with kind of not giving someone the message more on a telephone reading, but on the face-to-face reading, they're seeing the cards as you're seeing them.
Yeah, yeah, and this is I've been very fortunate to for read for so many people and so many different, reading in public. Reading at a what is it, a tarot
Mm.
psychic fair, where you're all boxed in, right? Table, 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 table. So you're reading for your client, but people are standing outside watching you or watching someone
Yeah,
else. Or maybe they're not even watching you. They just happen to come by, blam, right at the moment you say something. So, they're seeing you out of context. So, I
yeah,
mean, you can really freak yourself out if you think about it too much. So it's not, you don't want you to, um, but yeah. And you've I mean, come on, just the difference between the Cambridge and the market and the psychic lines. Wow, those are three different worlds where you did them all.
yeah, yeah,
So how do we know if our client's lying? It's in the card, literally. It's in the
Yeah.
cards. Um, or okay, so the cards will fight with you, especially when they're shuffling. When the cards are out, um, now this isn't like, oh, I can't get anything. The cards aren't making sense. You must be lying to me. It's exactly the opposite. You're on a roll. The card's like, bam, this card means this. This card means that. They're like, yeah, yeah, rock and roll. And you're like, and then this, and then you start going, and this really sickening feeling sometimes comes over you, where you're like, I am not being, what I'm seeing does not match with what you're telling me. And sometimes you just get a really bad feeling in the pit of your stomach. And that's all. Sometimes when somebody wants, oh, I want that son of a bitch dead. I want to send him dead.
Yeah.
I want to go to his house. I want to burn it down. It's like, and that's another thing, is that on top of everything, our job is not to help facilitate nefarious actions by angry or bad people or people who want to do bad. So sometimes it's not so much that somebody's lying to you, but you'll be in the middle of reading, you'll figure, oh no, I don't want to help you anymore. You got card 9, devil, 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 death, stab, stab. It's like, you really don't like this person, do you?
I have a question.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, there's a lot of exposés out there, or people trying to
Oh
show
God.
readers as
Yes.
scam artists and this and that. And a lot of times
Yeah.
you got these just really gentle readers that want to help because they come up with some horrible questions like, is this child alive, or where is this child? Things like,
Yeah.
and those readers want
Yeah.
to help so bad. They want to help so bad that they like ignore their intuition, I think, that this
Yes.
client is lying. So how would a reader protect themselves against a situation like that where they're just trying to bust you and make you look bad, which I hope doesn't happen as often as the exposés I've been seeing, but it's out there.
I lost a job. I got run out of the business. One of the companies I worked for had the Madame Cleo treatment, where 2020 News magazine came in, and apparently they've done this a couple times since then. And we had a really brutal testing system to be able to work for the company. And we had we had the electronic key cards on the door. This is cutting edge back back when I did it. It's like you had to swipe to get in and out, because it was all about integrity, and we didn't want a whole bunch of crap going on. Well, 2020 wormed their way in through, and again, they lied to get in. They lied, and it's kind of like, wait, you guys totally defrauded the upper management to gain access for your expose. Well, how does that make you the good guys? How do we trust anything you say, because it's all founded on a lie to begin with? Now, the point is that so I mean, this is go back 20 years. John, yeah, since more 30, but I'm old. But the thing is, I've been there. I mean, I've literally been in it. Now, fortunately, it did not happen to me. I was not called a fraud or anything like that. But the company got such bad publicity because they just wanted a salacious story about all psychics are bad. I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, and astrology is bullshit. But it's like, really, how about you go to school, son? I hate these self-proclaimed skeptics who call themselves experts, and they really don't know. They haven't studied. They haven't even tried. They just want to run around ruining other people's lives. So let's say you are concerned about that, which I don't want people to get too freaked out about it, but it should be in the back of your mind. Hope you know a little astrology. This is why God invented Capricorn. Capricorn is, well, it's Mr. Burns on the bad side, but on the good side, it's Kronos. Capricorn is take a stick and shove it so far up your butt that you're like walking straight. I don't put up any falderal. You're out of line. You're out of line. Up 2, 3, 4. Everything needs to be in order. That's Capricorn, right? We need to have that inner drill sergeant or inner drill instructor, depending, Marine or not, inside of us that says integrity matters. Integrity. I'll tell you what. I tell people this freely. I've been up and I've been down financially. Just life of a Sagittarius, and I found that sometimes the only thing in life I owned was my integrity. And I kept on and hold on to that. And that was the best investment I ever made. You'll never go wrong investing in your integrity. It may hurt sometimes because honesty sucks. You're going to lose some opportunities being honest. But in the long run, it pays off in spades.
Yeah.
When you find yourself tempted, and you'll hear the sob story. I just need you to tell me this, and I'm not going to make up scenarios, but you'll know there's going to be a sob story. There's going to be some type of, they're going to play off of your sympathy. They're going to want you to do a special favor for them. Like you said, that is this child alive? Do I have cancer? That's okay. You can tell me. Is my grandmother trying to send me a message? Everybody has to draw their own line, but I'd really like you to decide what you answer, what questions you answer and what you don't. I won't answer legal questions. I won't answer medical questions. And I certainly won't answer questions about dead people on the other side and messages, because that's not my forte. I don't have a PhD after my name. And if I do get a PhD, which I'm working on my PhD, I won't be a medical doctor. Sorry, it's not that kind of PhD. So I'm not going to give medical advice. In the same way, I don't have a PhD. There isn't one, but I don't have a PhD in deadology. Where I'm like, I can. What is it, Kenny Kingston? Jesus Christ, So
Can I
We
just,
have to have, yeah.
yeah. Do
Let
you
me
not
say,
think
common
though,
sense and make your own.
if someone wants a message from a dead person, if that's what they want, don't you think they should go to a medium?
Yes.
If you think you're a medium, or if you think you can do it, I'm not saying don't try. Or, you know, you could say, you can hold me down, put a gun to my head, and I'll say, fine. You know what? Let's ask. Here's exactly what I'm going to say. Record me now. Let's ask the cards and see what happens. I will try. I'll try anything. You're not going to try it. You try it. I'm going to try it. Oh, okay. Maybe I won't try anything. I'm not really into eating snails and octopuses and stuff.
Snails are
Octopi.
good.
Hey, to the French, absolutely. God bless the French for eating those snails, so you don't have to. But I'll try it. In a pinch, but I will not. I'm going to tell them, hey, I'm doing this for fun. You take this with a grain of salt. Is somebody alive? Ooh, you got to have a hard line that you draw, and if you cross that line, you have to. And I'm saying you have to because I'm protecting you. You can do whatever you want, but I'm going to say you have to be really, really careful to say things like, "I will do my best. Let's find out. Take this information and verify it for yourself, but don't take this as gospel. Don't go, oh, the psychic told me, therefore it's true." And some things I'll tell you, oh yeah, I'm Johnny on the spot. This is what I do. But if it's outside of my bailiwick, if it's outside of my area of expertise, or if I'm getting a bad feeling about this person, trying to play stump the psychic or anything, I will either refuse to read for them because my integrity is worth more, or if I don't think they're being malicious, I'll say, all right, let's give it a try. I'll tell you what I know. Here's what I got. We'll go as far as we can, and I would like you to take this information today and verify it. Now, if at the end of the reading I don't feel, or not even at the end, if I reach a point where I feel that I am not giving value, and this is a super important part, if I feel like I'm not giving value or something's going on, I was like, oh, it's not working. I will tell, I'm not going to take your money, or if I've already got your money, I will give it back. I'd rather give somebody a free reading and let them know this isn't working. Here, try somebody else. Keep the information. I'll even say I feel really good about this and this and this.
Yeah.
But this is where I'm not sure. And again, I'll have to feel pretty bad about the information before I do this. But if I feel bad about the information, I'll tell them, look, God bless you and all that, but I'm not going to take your money on this. So there are a couple of fail safes. You can always walk away from a reading up front, or in the middle of a reading, or at the end of the reading. Now that's a nuclear option, but okay. You can, if you're going to give the reading, but you're feeling a little uncomfortable, say, hey, let's give it a shot and let's see how it goes. And you may end up going, oh my God, this is the best reading I ever gave.
No, I had that. I had this woman, and she wanted a relationship reading.
Yes.
And she wanted to know whether her and her boyfriend had met in a past life. And I said, well, I'm not a past life sort of specialist.
Right.
I said, and I'm not prepared to do a reading based on that. And I said, however, I said, I am prepared to do a reading based on your relationship now. And I don't mind having a go. Look, I was thinking of the Celtic cross, card position 3, the deep past. I said, I don't mind having a go and seeing what comes up, but I'm not going to let that dominate the whole reading. So it's up to you, if you still want to go ahead with the reading. And it actually was really interesting.
No, that's absolutely wonderful. By the way, my headphones are dying, so I will probably have to go. But to see, again, if we can leave people with anything, it's that trust your gut. Don't go against your character. That's what really, hopefully we have character. But, if something feels wrong, it's okay to say no. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that's missing from this is it's so hard sometimes to say no. It's so hard for us to tell people I can't do this or I won't do that.
Yeah.
Meatloaf. I'll do anything for love, but I won't do that or whatever. Sorry, but the thing is, I'd like everybody to practice saying no. If you're still listening to this, just say no. Practice saying no. And practice saying no when it hurts. Practice saying no when you don't want to, because it's not fun. But if you've never said no and you haven't practiced, and and you're face to face with somebody who's really working you, and playing the stump the psychic, or let's prove, and they're playing your ego, they're working your pride, they're working your sympathy. What's going to happen is you're going to take one step and another step and another step, and you're going to be way out on, like you're walking the plank, right? You're going to be way out here going, wait, I didn't want to go this far.
Yeah.
This is not who I am. But they got you to take little nibbles or little baby steps.
Yeah.
Oh, there goes my headphone. I'm going to have to go, everybody. I'm sorry. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I really hope this information helped. Tons and tons of value in this. So, and look, we got a course. Come give us $1. Stay for a month. If you stay longer than $1, yeah, we're gonna want like $10, $11 a week. I forgot how much it is. I don't care about that. The important thing is, we teach people and we're affordable. Any last minute thoughts for you guys?
No, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah. No, it's really good. Yeah.
Oh, you guys both are amazing, and thank you for being here. And this is awesome. I'm gonna go. Hey, it was the podcast where I'm driving. Okay, thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.